Welcome to the Onebar and Lupagus Show, your daily source for everything Minnesota Vikings.
All right, welcome back to Onebar and Lupagus Show. Onebar, trade deadline has come and passed. The Vikings did not make a single damn move. You know, Kwesi's probably sweating, shaking, convulsing, going through withdrawals, not being able to make a trade. We know he loves to make trades. He does it every damn trade deadline, but this year did not happen. We're going to go over what that means for the Vikings and what is next for the Vikings. Before we do that, hit the sub, hit the like, comment below how you feeling about the Vikings not making a move. Was there a guy out there you wish they would have brought in? But more importantly, hit the sub. 16,000 subs. Let's get to it. All right, let's break her down real quick. And there were plenty of trades today. We saw what the Jets did. The Bears were out there making moves. Cowboys, a lot of moves, but none of which involved the Minnesota Vikings. And I think there's a big reason for that. And we saw the compensation for some of these players. And yes, they were some big names, but the compensation, holy hell, a couple first-round picks for Sauce, a first and a second and a player for Quinn and Williams. So my hunch is the asking prices for some of these players were pretty high because we saw a lot of players that were not only rumored, but it almost seemed like a shoo-in that they were going to get traded. And they didn't go anywhere. Look at the Reek Woolens in Seattle. Look at Taylor with the New Orleans Saints. Look at these guys on the Titans. Cam Taylor-Britt of the Bengals. The centers that were rumored out there. The Giants didn't move on from any quarterback. So something tells me the asking price was very, very high this trade deadline. And if that is the case, hats off to Kwesi. We know he was on the phone. He's probably been on the phone for the last 2 weeks trying to get a deal done. And if the thinking was it's just too much, we're going to move on, that's beautiful. That means the man is evolving. We've seen the Vikings make some trades where we give up quite a bit of compensation, usually too much compensation. So if that is the case, I'm completely fine with the Vikings not making a move. Deep down, yes, I would have loved to give up some sort of mid-round pick for a cornerback, a center, whatever. Didn't happen. They're going to have to dive into that in this offseason because right now we got to move ahead with what we got. I mean, that's the biggest thing. And before we get into that, also on the other side of things, the Vikings obviously didn't trade anybody either. And I think that has a lot to do with the big win against the Lions last week. I think if we go 3-5, I think a lot of people would probably have been on the table today. And you know what? We have some players that some teams would have wanted. So that probably wasn't even on the table. And if they got a phone call, said, no, thank you. We're going to go win this Super Bowl, baby. So what's it mean for the Vikings moving forward? Nobody can get injured. Not allowed, especially in that cornerback group. Because if there was one position out there that they were probably trying the hardest to add to, I'm sure it was the cornerback group. So there are some guys out there. We saw Asante Samuel Jr. is ready to go. He's meeting with teams. Maybe that will be an option, but free agency wise, they're already on teams. There's not anybody out there else in Magic they're going to get. So like I said, they're going to ride this thing out and see what happens. I'm all for it. I'm fine with it. The Vikings do have a lot of draft picks next year. I think they got like 8, not counting the comp picks that they could have wheeled and dealed. But I'm going to go back to what I said right out of the gate. If the price was too high, good job, Vikings, and just move ahead and see what we got. So it is what it is. Don't get used to this. Something tells me Kwesi's going to make up for this next trade deadline and make a handful of them because we know he loves trading. So there you have it. Vikings stand pat at the trade deadline, and we got our roster moving forward.